Following the close of the 2021 Major League Baseball season, the offseason is officially underway, and we have a quick break before spring training starts up in February. Welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Brendan Conroy alongside Chris Lemmo and JC Colavita, and tonight we'll be discussing our predictions for potential free agent landing spots. I'll start with you, Chris. Season's over, the action is done. We got a little bit of time. What potential candidates, free agents rather, are you most excited to see maybe suit up with a new team coming this season?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the three big pitchers, Verlander, Kershaw, and Scherzer. These guys have been dominant. Three of the best five pitchers over the last decade. In fact, they've combined for 8 Cy Young Awards in the last 10 years. That's unheard of. I mean, all three of them should be in the Hall of Fame after they retire, and all three of them are probably going to pitch into their 40s. Now, Verlander's coming off of Tommy John surgery. He just had that sort of, I guess, tryout camp where he hit 97. So, yeah, he's gonna get a lot of money out of that. And I think any team, I think there was 15 to 20 that were interested. He's definitely going to have his choice of where he lands. Now, the other one, Kershaw, he ended his season with a little bit of an elbow injury, so I think teams might be more cautious on him. He's only going to be 34 next year, so not super old. I still think he's going to be fine. I mean, if he stays healthy, he's still at worst a number 2 or number 3, and at best he's still an ace. And then Scherzer, he's going to get paid. I mean, I think he's going to see a 3-year, possibly $110, $120 million deal with $40 million a year. He's just that good. He's still dominant. I mean, Mad Max is a guy that, I mean, you see right there on the graphic, he's just so intense. He brings it every single time on the mound. And, you know, to steal a line from DJ Khaled, he's going to have a major bag alert, okay? I could see him breaking an AAV record for how much he gets signs for.
Chris, I agree with that. I'm going to put my 2 cents in here with Clayton Kershaw. Now, I think he stays in L.A. with his best friend, Matthew Stafford. But I'm going to talk about this shortstop class. I've been excited about this class for a few years now. You got Seager, Correa, Baez, and Story. I'm going to start with Trevor Story here. He's on a dumpster fire of a team with the Rockies. He's leaving Colorado. He is getting the heck out of the Rocky Mountains. He's going to find himself with the Texas Rangers, who are willing to spend, up-and-coming team. They got a lot of prospects with Joey Gallo, and they're going to spearhead the West. They're not going to be good right away, but I think Story is going to help them on their way. Now, Correa. He has taken shortstop of the Houston Astros out of his Twitter bio. He rejected the qualifying offer. He is gone. He is not coming back to Houston. He said today on a podcast that Derek Jeter does not deserve any of the gold gloves that he has ever received. And I think that he's going to do that. He's going to go to New York. He's going to try to rewrite that legacy in New York as a shortstop. He's sitting out of Astros. So that means the core 4, they lost it. They only got Altuve left from that real key parts of that championship team. With Baez, now, I'm calling him a shortstop. That's kind of a liberal little thing to say. I think he stays in New York. He's going to stay partnered up with Lindor. He loved to stay in New York. He said that publicly. I think he'll get a nice big contract. And with Seager, now this is going to be a little bit controversial. I think he goes to the Cubs. Yes, the Cubs sold off, Bryant, Rizzo, and Baez at the deadline this season. But the Cubs, they're willing to spend. They're trying to rebuild, and I think Seager's a great fit there.
Yeah, I got to agree with both of you guys. Not having an affiliation per se or taking it out of your social medias does give a lot of shade towards that team, and it kind of begs the question, will they return? I like what you said about Verlander as well. He's old. He can be good at times, but it really just depends on injury status, whether or not he can stay healthy and all that. So it really, with all these players, it's up in the air whether or not these guys will get the deals they want. But a lot of it is injury and where they're looking in the future. As we know, free agency outcomes aren't always what we expect. Players tend to make moves that keep us on our toes. What is one bold prediction each of you have for this offseason that may surprise some fans?
Oh, I've been waiting for this one. My guy, Chris Bryant, is joining his buddy Bryce in Philly. Now, I'm a huge Philly fan, but I love to bash this team because they have made so many stupid mistakes over the past couple years. This is year 4 of 13 with Bryce Harper. They've yet to make the playoffs. He's probably going to win the MVP, but they need some star power. Alec Boehm, he was second in Rookie of the Year voting in 2020, and he had a terrible year this year. Got sent down to the minors. Ronald Torreyes took his position. And I think that they're going to need a third baseman. They've had a revolving door at third base since the best player in the history of the Phillies retired in 1989, Mike Schmidt, other than Scott Rowland in the late 90s, who hated playing for his team. But The thing that comes with Bryant is he can also play left field, and that's huge because the Phillies have 2 holes in the outfield right now. And I don't know. I think Chris Bryant, he's probably Bryce Harper's best friend in the MLB other than JT Realmuto, and he's kind of turning into a little bit of a LeBron scenario where he's bringing his best friends, making that super team, and I think the Phillies could surprise a lot of people this year if they get Chris Bryant.
Yeah, I think Chris Bryant would fit really well. I think Dave Dombrowski kind of made it known that he wants somebody that can play left field and also possibly third base, so he would fit that narrative very well. But I'm going to head out to Seattle. I got Marcus Semien going to the Mariners, and the Mariners are prying that window of contention open. Obviously, the longest playoff drought, I believe it's in all professional sports. They're going to end it soon. They're knocking on the door. Marcus Semien this year set the record for second base home runs, by home runs by a second baseman, and he really, the last 3 years, 2019 and this past season, he's been worth over 6 wins above replacement. He's been one of the best players in the sport. You combine him with J.P. Crawford, former Phillies prospect, of course, that is very defensive-minded at shortstop, and then you get a guy that can rake and really hit a lot of big home runs at second base. I think they'll pair really nicely up the middle for a long time to come there in Seattle. And then you add in guys like Julio Rodriguez, Jared Kelenic, and they got a really bright future out there in Seattle, I think.
Yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily call Bryce Harper LeBron by any means, but I do like what you had said. It is like late season for that, or late of their career for them. They're kind of trying to collect a ring, do whatever they can to, go out victorious, if you will. So I definitely agree there. If they're able to find somebody to throw in center even, they could have arguably one of the best outfields in the MLB come 2022. Who knows? After some tension within the league between players and owners, a lockout is potentially around the corner prior to the start of the 2022 season. If this is the case, starting with you, Chris, how do you think this potential problem could affect free agency for the offseason?
Well, I think we started to see it today, actually, with Eduardo Rodriguez. He signed that big deal with the Detroit Tigers as they kind of think, I guess, their window of contention is starting to open up. A little bit surprising, but I guess it is. But I really think that it's going to push players to sign earlier, because here's the thing. If you go into a lockout, let's say it goes into February or March, players don't want to have a 3-4 week window of free agency. They want to be able to relocate, do everything with their families now to relocate before this lockout happens. The lockout brings in uncertainty, and really players don't want it that tight of a window to negotiate, which may have to happen. I mean, at this point, we don't know if there's going to be a normal start to the season. So I think a lot of players want to have everything in place so that once the season starts, they'll be ready. So I wouldn't be surprised if before that early December deadline, which is looking more like when the lockout begins, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple more big names signing before then.
Well, Chris, the CBA is going to expire on December 1st at 11:59 p.m., and that makes there's 2 weeks that these players can sign under the current CBA. But what's going to come with it is hopefully we get a whole full 162 games. Doesn't go into April, but what we could see is the salary, the minimum salary is going to increase. It makes younger players can get paid. The service time needed for arbitration and free agency is going to decrease, meaning that teams can't hold those minor league players in the minors. Don't bring them up to the big club so they can hold their rights. It's not going to happen that way anymore. And again, I think we could see a lot of free agent signings in the next 2 weeks. A lot of big names coming off the board, which is unheard of. I mean, you've seen. Bryce Harper, when he signed in March. I mean, Dallas Keuchel signed mid-season a few years ago. I mean, that's not going to happen this year. I think you're going to see a lot of big names like those shortstops, like those pitchers coming off the board. And again, the main point of this CBA, make sure there's a full baseball season, 162 games. Baseball needs that revenue, and it'll be detrimental to the league if they can't play all those games.
Yeah, we've seen that happen before in other sports too with lockouts. It's not fun. It's not good for the players. It's not good for the teams. It adds a lot of pettiness to the whole situation. Obviously, players, they like the dramatic effect. They like signing with teams late. But like you guys said, if they want to get on a team with all this going on and all the issues that are about to happen potentially, they need to sign now, and they need to find that team that they're going to be suiting up with for the next season. With big talent on the market and big-name free agents eligible to sign with new teams this offseason, we may be seeing some changes within the league. Regardless of wherever these players land, they will report to training camp come February. For Chris Lemmo and JC Colavita, I'm Brendan Conroy. Be sure to stay tuned for more updates on your favorite sports. Thank you, and have a great night.
Thank you for watching this edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also, follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.